The issue of sports washing and potential sports washing and attempts to do so, by purchasing English clubs in the English Football League. Do you think the government should have done more on that?
You mean in the white paper?
Yeah.
Well, I think I would agree with sort of Tracy's perspective. It is an issue for government. Essentially, the Premier League, and I think all of us have really, because it's a question for all of us, because we all operate owners and directors tests in our various leagues, have always to operate a high bar test within the confines of UK government policy or UK PLC, and not to operate outside that system. Of course, clubs and leagues can decide to add additional tests or change things if they want to, but to this date, the Premier League has tried to work within those sort of government parameters.
We as the FA recognise that in the white paper it refers to the fact it must be an objective test, and we would support that. It's very difficult when you start to move into a more subjective test.
Okay, can I just ask you quickly, Richard, about you're probably aware of the legal case that's taking place in America between the PGA and Live Golf, and the involvement of the Saudi Public Investment Fund. You've been given assurances that the Saudi government doesn't have any direct control over Newcastle United Football Club by Amanda Staveley, but in a statement, in an interview that I saw on Twitter, she says that PIF is an autonomous, commercially driven investment fund, but in the submissions in the court case, that the Public Investment Fund is claiming it is a government body, and therefore has sovereign immunity and cannot be called to give evidence or submit evidence in the litigation. Is that going to prompt you to revisit the Newcastle United Football Club arrangements?
I'm afraid I'm going to frustrate you, Clive, because I can't really comment on it. I mean, even to the point of saying, is the Premier League investigating it? We can't really comment on it. Obviously, we are completely aware, and you're correct about the general nature of the undertakings that we received at the point of takeover. But I can't really go into it at all. The only time when the Premier League comments publicly on regulatory issues is when it's charged, and at the end of the process when an independent panel has decided whether any rule breaches have actually taken place. And the investigatory process we don't talk about at all.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to pursue any further because you've made that quite clear.
So the Newcastle United takeover is back in the headlines after 2 years, and it's all because of a lawsuit taking place in the United States. The Saudi-backed LIV Golf are currently in dispute with the PGA Tour, and the Saudi side have insisted that Newcastle chairman and PIA governor Yasser Al-Rumayyan cannot testify in the case because he is a member of the Saudi government. Now, Amnesty International, among others, have said that this completely contradicts the legally binding assurances that the Saudi side gave the Premier League when the Newcastle United takeover was given the green light in 2021. Now, Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters was in a DCMS Select Committee meeting on Tuesday where he was asked by MPs whether Newcastle United's takeover could be re-examined 2 years on. On the matter, he said, I can't really comment on it. I mean, even to the point of saying, is the Premier League investigating it? We can't really comment on it. Obviously, we are completely aware, and you're correct about the general nature of the undertakings that we received to the point of the takeover, but I can't really go into it at all. The time when the Premier League comments publicly on regulatory issues is when it's charged, and at the end of the process when an independent panel has decided whether any rule breaches have taken place. The investigatory process we don't talk about at all. So Richard Masters and the Premier League are given no comment as to whether Newcastle United's takeover could be re-examined after 2 years. Back in 2021, the Premier League chief executive did say that the takeover could be revoked if they discovered that the legally binding assurances that they'd been given by the Saudi side proved to be inaccurate. Now, Chronicle Live understands that Newcastle are confident they'll face no fresh action on this matter, and of course the Premier League are keeping silent on this. We have seen, in the last year or so, the likes of Chelsea and Roman Abramovich was forced to sell by the government. It does feel like, it would take a very big step for that to happen and for them to go above the Premier League's head, given the relationship that the UK and Saudi Arabia currently has. In terms of Newcastle fans, a lot of them think that this is a non-story. They think that this is, no sort of new news at all. As mentioned, Amnesty International and a lot of others are thinking differently about this. But it'll certainly be interesting to see whether the Premier League do anything. Richard Masters insists that nothing will be revealed until the process has finished, and the investigation itself won't be spoken about publicly. In terms of Newcastle United, Amanda Staveley, Murad Gadusi, the Rubin family and PIF will all assume that they have, given the Premier League the assurances that they needed to get the Premier League takeover rubber stamped back in 2021. It's all going swimmingly on the pitch. Hopefully it will all continue to go swimmingly off the pitch. But Richard Masters' comments on Tuesday are certainly very interesting and one to keep an eye on.